Hello and welcome. See, there we go. I did open the door. Is this the actual sleep? It is. This is the sleep trigger right in the middle of the room. At least I know for when I do. I am determined. That is going to be the plan. What we discussed yesterday in the last session was selling those two fields. If we need to, if we haven't actually earned the 330, instead of buying sheds and trying to pop them in difficult places. This is absolutely fantastic. There's sheds and space and the silo. Not sure if I'm going to keep that particular one. I might sell that one once we've bought the area. I know in the garage it says I own it already, but I don't want to do that until we literally have done what we should do, where we own it properly by buying it. So yeah, I like the idea of that. Right, anyway, so let's finish off what we started yesterday. Let's get these all gathered and let's get those. Okay. I stand corrected. Transporting position. Ground bales you stack. And usually, the last few times I've done that, I've actually, unless I cheated and I'd not cheated, but it was already on the collect bales, I've actually been able to switch from the two different modes, but for some reason I think, as I said before, one last thing I'm going to say, because as I came into the game, I actually saw the name of the American map that I was so struggling with yesterday, Ravenport. It's Ravenport that I was going on about. Literally, it's the one where I did a lot of, first did a lot of crane work. Right, let's get this sorted. Let's get that unfolded, and we'll grab those 3 or 4, I think it's 4 in total actually. 4 bales. Does the baler need to be on to do this? It shouldn't be, should it? Because let's test it. I don't think it does. It's funny, when you always do something with something being on as well. You do wonder, what do I need to do that or not? When you do something in a different way than you normally do. Yeah, it was the Ravenport map where I did. I think it was. It's funny. I said that we've all got a little bit of OCD, and I realised it was Ravenport was one of those maps. But you do need to. Oh no! Of course you have to run through it. See, do have to. Yeah, that's right. We do. Okay, so let's go get the other ones. Yeah, Ravenport, there was a field. What I did was, on a second start, it bugs me. I know we've all got a bit of OCD, and I have got to be totally truthful. My bit of OCD was Ravenport, that started with all the rubbish. It's one thing I am a bit OCD about, and it's even with certain maps. It's what first made me start to edit maps a long time ago. I used to edit maps so that I could go from one field to another. I'd choose, say, that fence over there. I'd take a section out through the map editor because it bugged me, and I wanted my field entrance. Or if a bit like on the English maps, if the gate posts are in the wrong place as I thought it at the time, then I'd shift them, or I'd make a hole in one side of the field, or I'd remove one section of hedge, all on purpose, all because of my OCD. Basically, so I need to go get that so let's go and knock that out. So we have all got a degree of OCD, I think, even though I think the experts say we haven't. I remember listening to Frithgar's arguments over that very thing, actually. Let's see if we can grab that from the other side. I do truthfully think that we've all got bits and bobs that we do and don't like that really annoy us. Like, as I already said, mine's hanging pictures. Oh, it drives me absolutely to distraction. Doesn't like that. Doesn't like that at all. Okay, I should try and keep it low to the ground. And we'll drop them out at the bottom. Yes, I do think we've all got things, and that is one of my pet hates. I have a little bit OCD about those farmyards, which are almost all of the map makers, Oxygen, David, everybody. And again, it's nothing, I am not having a go at any mod maker, this is my idiosyncrasies. I absolutely detest all those little bits of rubble and stuff like that, and yet it's weird, I'm not bothered by untidiness normally, but in this game, that really bothers me. I just don't know what it is. So I used to edit the piles of rubbish off the maps and stuff like that, and I have actually now got a mod that does it because you can't change who you are. You literally are made the way that you're made, and the things that annoy you. I've got that map object hider mod. You've not seen me use it on this, and you won't. I'm not going to do that, but it is just, you know, we've all got those little touch points, those little things. I think I used it on Klein's Land. There's a few bits and bobs that annoyed me there. It's a lovely little map, really. Sometimes a big map. I don't know whether it's just the way you feel, but I get a bit where sometimes the big map's a bit too much for me, and I just want to have a change and play a small map for a bit. So I rolled the Klein's Land one up and had to go with that one. Lovely map. Yeah, my point is really that literally we have all got those little idiosyncrasies, that things that annoy us, and one of mine is the scruffy, and don't get me wrong, I come from a farming background. My grandparents had a farm. And it doesn't bother me in real life. That is the strangest thing to say, but it's true. I mean, all farmyards are like that. It's really strange. I don't know why in this it bothers me, when in real life, I mean, I remember my grandparents, they had a rubble heap at the end of one of the barns. It never bothered me as a kid. But somehow, on this game, I want my farm to be really tidy. I just don't get it. I don't get why it bothers me in a game when it doesn't bother me in real life, but it does. I don't know, we've all got buttons, and I don't know whether it's because it's a game and you know it's a game, you like things as orderly as possible, or whether it's just some OCD of some sort of level up of mine, but that is just something that does annoy. So, yeah, I shall try to work on it. I think that's it, that's the last one. I'm not going to turn his engine off, because, in fact, no, actually, do I need it? Ah, yes I do, don't I? There's more than 36 bales. So I am going to leave his engine, because we're going to do a bit of manual baling. Let's get those four. I believe it's... Well, how many have we got on this one? I think it was more, wasn't it, than the... Actually, it makes more sense to go for the bigger Sammy. It's not that struggles with the baling, it never has. Filling the Adjuranti with it being chipped and having 200 horsepower, 210 horsepower, it can easily manage to pull the 36 bales on the Adjuranti. I've never had it once. Bulk on this. It might put on hilly terrain, but or really hit. Oh, I have got one. There we go, 36. So that's we've got 4, 5, 6. Oh, wow, quite a few bales. That's finished, that can go over here. 2 days. I did that, yeah. yeah, we did finish this last night, didn't we? So yeah, this is its first period, or the beginning of the first day of the first period. So let's leave that there. Let's grab you. Oh, why did I do that? Really? About it taking ages to start, and then I stopped thinking. Didn't fold that up, did I? No, it's ready still for action. Right, let's go do this last one. That is much better. We've definitely got the settings right on that. The windrower yesterday, 8.2 meters, is perfect. There was no lines in the middle. You can see it much better in daylight than it was when it was dark. But yeah, that is definitely good. Yes, I am quite taken with this baler and wrapper combination. I do prefer the all-in-ones in some ways, but I cannot ignore the fact that this always drops the bale flat. That is just too big a thing to ignore. So I have got to give this the edge. Although, as I said, the other is really still. I love the all-in-ones. The one fact that obviously, as I said, it is an element beater in one respect. You can't really escape from that fact. It is, and obviously that setup isn't. And yet, if you were going to lose, it would only be a litre or so. Even if you did choose to ignore the elements, by the time if you were using the 3 triple motor setup, I'm not on about. If you weren't, if I was doing it with the Fendt GTs, of course you're going to die to a death and you're going to lose some bales. That's a given, truthfully. Why do I always do that? If you miss the attach marks, it obviously detaches something else because it goes from one, and then obviously it's already on another attachment, another implement. We don't really need to go really mad on this. Although I always say there's no excuse for sloppy workmanship. This is a practice. We'll do them in 2s, I think. No point in going 3 high and making it unduly difficult. And no point in trying to go a 4 high with jobby either, because it's just pointless. It is strange, never realised on this how close I was to the proper farm until literally yesterday when I ran through that. I can't believe it's behind us. I knew it was on the side of the map, I knew it was a long way down the road, but I'd never cottoned on I was just this close, literally through the backfield, and I'm into the thing. So it's actually has, without any sort of planning, actually worked quite well, because that is definitely the plan of action. Whether it's we can afford it if we do another, we should be able to really through the winter be able to afford it. I don't know how many implements we will have by that time, but you know, I would like to switch from grass to obviously going for a bit of arable. I'm not trying to be well, actually that's part of what I love about this. I did hint at this yesterday. That's the challenge of the start from scratch. It's how far. I'm not so good as some people at setting. I've heard Mr. Seeley P go on about this, and Frithgar, about setting goals, setting like whether that's I want to own all of the fields on this map, or I want to have 2.5 million in the bank, or I want 500 cows. And of course I could do that, but it's a bit of a I don't know. We've all got ways that our brain sort of thinks that makes it personal. none of those actually are things that really matter for making of money. You can make a million when you get into the later stage of this game. Once you've got once you get, you know, lots of cows, you can make an absolute fortune, literally just from manure, selling manure at the slurry yard or selling manure at the BGA. So yeah, it was and milk and things like that. If I've got 500 cows, or if there's one of the yeah, let's show you. I'll show you what I'm waffling on about. There are. Why do I always do that? Yeah, if you go to the it's the Global Company Animals, that's the one. Look at that beast. 2,000 cattle for 300,000. I actually did put this on my No Man's Land Let's Play that I'm literally playing through just for the fun of it. Again, with the square closest to the shop as my home, if you like. Again, I start from scratch. I've built up now, and I have got tractors coming out my eyes. I've got that GEA stall. Now I can't remember how many cows I bought. Whether I think it's something like 77. And again, with its seasons, you still got that where things grow, and that takes seasons. I'm concentrating on going into arable in there. I've literally just. Have I got to the end of the year? No, I haven't. I'm going into late autumn, I think, or maybe early winter on that particular one. But I haven't gone mad, but I can go up to 2,000. Again, with something like that, you could say, oh, I'm going to go into 2,000 animals. That's my starting sort of point. I want 2,000 animals. So again, that could be the point that you want. You know, your finish point or your finish criteria that makes you think, yeah, let's go on to the next Let's Play, we've achieved our goals. Whereas with this, the start from scratch, I say it's only a personal, it's just the way that I work. You know, we all think and work differently to one another. But yeah, I seem to just like, how well can I do? And I even sort of have a bit of a competition on myself between maps. The best one so far, I think, would be Erlingrat. I started off with just that massive field behind the sawmill, and let's just get that on. And I also bought one of the fields right next door, almost in between the BGA. I bought one of those as well. So, and I've again ready. I've just bought a Sintrack, which was. I bought it second hand, and then I fixed it all up because I'd only just got enough money to buy it. I've got the triple mower set up. Now then, this is what I was talking about. I am going to get to that point, honestly. But if you just look up in the left-hand top side, fasten tension belt. Now I'm used to seeing the green, and it's. I think when that's gone. Say unfastened, and it wasn't fastened. Oh, anyway, it works. Bottom line is you just have to look for the yellow message at the top. So, yeah, at least I know what I'm doing now and why. Obviously, with the help menu system on, I've got that used to having that on when I'm on myself. It doesn't bother me, but I know all content creators have sometimes switch to the left. I don't see the one at the bottom left-hand corner. It's really being intrusive. I mean, it's only as intrusive as Schwerg's, the one on the white that shows you all of the white and the red and the yellow writing. It's Schwerg's. It's a German word, and my German is not up to par. I think it's Schwerg's. Is it vehicle inspector or inspector? I think it's Schwerg's inspector, and it does all of that. One of my, again, we've all got our mods that we love, and that is definitely one of those that I've got to have on, one of those that's really important to me. Same as Big Bag Handler is a given, definitely. The Volvo's becoming again it's all to do with your approaches. I nearly always do the start from scratch start, so it's all about equipment, there's got to be compromise. There has to be. And it's weird because I think when you first play this game, you want big equipment and the best equipment, the fastest equipment. You know, the most. I love the Deutschfahrs, some of the turning circles on those, even the little, the tiny ones that are sort of quite cheap. I love those tractors. They've got such a lovely turning circle. That again, they're often a given, but again, it's weird. I seem to have gone for the small Sammy Argon in almost all because it's such a cheap little tractor, and obviously with the grass work, you don't really need enormous. Well, you can choose your equipment well, and you don't need to have 300 horsepower or 200 horsepower. Or you could actually, and I have done. So I say the chipping. Vehicle chipping is a mod I've only just found, literally in the last couple of weeks actually. So again, I do think it's fantastic because it is true to life. You can have things chipped. If you've got a mate who can do that, and we all know I've got friends who chip every single car they have, and it does cost a little bit. So if it's not beyond the realms of possibility that you could have a tractor chipped if you wanted and get more horsepower out of it. It happens with cars, so why not? Again, if anything's believable, possible, I don't think that I haven't really got a problem with it. Right, okay, now then, what have we got to do? Have we got any? Yeah, we've got literally this field. We've got to lime and yeah, pH value bad, nitrogen bad. So we'll get those two. Let's get all this lot. First of all, let's drag that to the side. That is definitely going to be in the way. Always leave this at the side of the field. Would be nice though, truthfully, when I do get enough money. That's definitely what I'm going to do next, is to buy the main farm over the back, so at least I've got a proper base. I know it doesn't bother me unduly. I'm not, but it is nice to have sheds, rather than have them on the side of a field. It is lovely to have proper things, and actually with how close we are to the main farm, it's going to fit in so well. It's not like I've even got to roll out. So even if I do sell these initially after the last cut of this year, to buy that, if we can't afford it outright, I mean, bearing in mind we are halfway there already, if we can, I will buy it. But if not, yeah, because I have got a bit of a plan, which I was sort of half hinted at, which is another bad habit of mine, to topple from one subject to another without finishing sort of things, often because I get disrupted by a task and then forget exactly where I was. But yeah, what I'd like to do is I'll show you this. This is my go-to silo. Now I do love the one by Alien Jim, which is an amazing mod, which is these ones, these farm silos, all the different colours. They could go anywhere. That's again, that small BGAs and mod that I am going to begin to take in to probably nearly all of my Let's Plays, rather than buy a traditional BGA, because that has got such a phenomenal tick up. So yeah, this first one I wanted to use a traditional one, but this is my the compact storage, 500,000, 25,000. It isn't for the money. It's the small storage has got quite big extension tanks, so I don't think it would fit in. But if you look at the compact storage, and let's just quickly whiz over to that farmyard, and I'll show you what I mean. It's about the same size in the same yard as the traditional 200,000 one, but obviously the beauty of the compact storage is it is multi-fruits. So well, actually it's more than multi-fruit. It literally is just about every sort of kind of thing that you could possibly want in the game. So 500,000 storage and whatever you like is, but it, just look at this, it really is about almost identical to that one, like one silo and one grate, and that's the compact one is exactly the same. It is, well, I don't mean exactly, but it's certainly not far off. We just have a look at that. Yeah, it's almost identical. It's just got one actually silo next to it, but bearing in mind it's going to take up no more room in the yard really than that. Say there's a tank there or over that side, it really is not going to take up any more room than this, because it is quite a compact, and yet those fantastic massive sheds but it is a compact yard. It's not some yard. This is my type of yard, if I'm honest. This is what I would class as the perfect farmyard. I'm not one of these. Some of the massive ones are a little bit not really me. This is what I was on about, rubbish that annoys me. That there. But I think I know what it is. It's not that annoys me. It's that it's wasting space. I'm not going to use that mod. I've got it on, but I'm not going to. I'm going to resist the urge. I shall try to exert control over my OCD and actually leave all of the rubbish like that would normally annoy me. So, yeah. Right, let's get these over to and swap the mowers for the vent platform and the spreader and get that field done. I can't remember now, did I? Yes, I did. I did scan it. And I did that last time, didn't I? Seems to recall. So, yeah. Let's get a bit of field work done instead of all this chatting. But I think, to be honest, it's I'm using you guys to sort of thresh about with ideas, because I truly hadn't formulated that plan until that discussion and showing you the farmyard yesterday, and I thought, that's not a bad idea. Sometimes it is a bit of a threshing of ideas, what they call it, brainstorming, don't they, really, where something comes to fruition in your own brain. And it was then that I thought, that's really not a bad idea. And then there's that field to the left, field 17, which in time we could truly go for as well in our expansion. But I say the next thing definitely is, because I've always wanted sheds, I was going to stick one on that corner. But even with field work, especially with using the long gangly... Oh, you don't tell me it's about 3 mile an hour again. Oh well. He or she will catch up eventually. I'm sure not even the worker can get lost going from one field over there, even at 3 miles an hour, just taking 5 minutes to get here. Right, let's drop that on. Yeah. And anyway, I'm going to try to get better at this. I did briefly touch upon my Ravenport. That was what I was really getting. The OCD that I've got in this game. That first Ravenport section where you've got that massive... There's a grating in the middle and rubbish and stuff like that. And it really, really did annoy the hell out of me. And actually, I do like the Raven... And I do think that ground is ace. There was one time when I actually did do Ravenport. I always do that. And I actually used the landscaping mod, and I took the level of the land up to the point where I just levelled the field and hid all the rubbish by making it... I know I did have to take it quite high, I know that, but it was quite amazing. It worked quite nice, and it was bliss, because I didn't have to worry about the rubbish that annoys me so badly. Where is that? Is he stuck or something? Have I missed... He's stuck behind something, because surely it shouldn't take him this amount of time, even at 3 miles an hour. Oh, there we go. Follow a sensor colliding behind distance. Right, okay. That explains that mystery. Right, so what we'll do is we should take this over, set it going, and then we shall rescue and sack that worker for possibly getting stuck. No doubt it was going in and out of the 2 tractors at the very beginning of this, and I didn't notice because I was busy waffling on to you guys. Yeah, so literally, as I said, the Ravenport map, I moved from the initial thing. I sold up because it annoyed me so badly, all of the rubbish and the wasted land, because that starting sector actually is huge. It really is, and I was fully aware that actually it did make a perfect start, and yet obviously the fields that you could get, it's a very up and downy map, Ravenport, more so than you think. What on earth are you stuck on? I really seriously sometimes do not know. Right. I'm sorry, this is not sexism, mate, but you really, you're fired. that is definitely some of the worst bits of working that I've ever ever had the misfortune to know. So yeah, definitely fired. Right, let's set this going and then we'll go and get that one. Now then, is that one moving away? I would imagine it is. No, actually, I don't think it is. Right. I'm not even sure that yet on field 18 I've actually set the 36 metre up. No. Now I must remember that tree, so let's stick simple headland. I think it'll only be 2 at a maximum at 36 metres, maybe even 1. Might need to redo this, so I don't 2's too much. Let's do 1 then. Oh, it has, it just sets the tree. Right, smash it, that'll do me nicely. Start first, drive, save, 6 meters. Done. Gone. Now then, I hope, young man, that you can do a better job than the last guy in the yellow t-shirt, or the yellow shirt, because he didn't impress me. Not at all. And I'm not a harsh person. We've tried to be quite fair, but inefficiency of that nature is on the bottom of my list. Now mistakes, now that's another matter. Now that is something I truly can quite easily forgive with the right attitude with the person who makes the mistake. And I'm exactly the same myself. There have been... Oh, it's got the indicator on because I switched the other indicator on the other tractor. It's amazing how the follow me mod actually does do that. If you indicate on one, the second one indicates. Makes sense in some ways, but obviously it doesn't switch it off. Or perhaps it's because I fired the worker before. What this are? I don't know how it works. I can't think through the logic. I'm not sure. It is funny with the 2 maps that you started with, the FS19. I have tried the okay, I don't know what it is with me. Am I remembering my words? Never a big fan of the German one. Nothing to do with Germany. It's not some sort of kind of bias. I always get the feeling on that map. I love that starting place. You know, the traditional place that you do actually start on that map. I really do. Absolutely out. Always on that first tour of the fields when you've not actually put any lime on. It always does. Well, so it is. It's not a bad thing then. It really is down to the first time when something's not been limed in a long time. It absolutely drains 7,000. Because if you do it on the subsequent ones, because the level of lime on the land is still quite high, it only requires a top up. So at least I know that. It's again like learning curves, isn't it, with this game? Even as you get more advanced, or you know your way around things better, and the systems and the way things work. I thought to begin with, especially that first time on field 5, that it was literally some kind of glitch. Well, it's not actually, because it's done it on every single field on the first pass. It's 16. I can't recall, but it may be. I haven't got the best of memories at the best of times. I did have when I was young, but now at my later years of 52 years old, all of those senior moments that come along with the age. Let's set this guy going first, and I'm going to quickly save it in case I do have one of those moments. It's weird, you never get the same thing with the fertilising. Oh, done that trick where I actually click that instead of the go. Right. Where did we stick to? you didn't even get the outside of the field on once. That's another thing I would like to do as well. If we are... I think I probably would... I don't know, actually. I think I'd leave the container mod there and probably get another container mod somewhere in the yard so that you've got... It's closer to these fields. Again, at placement, I am a big thing on trying to place things in the right place so that you've not got too far to go, even if it means, especially with the container mod, I do find that one. The only thing with the container mod is its fill rates, but again, as I've said before, what I love about the one for all, apart from the fact you can't get liquids, it doesn't do the liquid fertilizer, doesn't do the herbicide, whereas the container mod does that. The only thing the container mod doesn't do, but the one for all does, is like the straws and hays and things like that, but it does do all of your seeding, herbicides, every single kind of fertilizer and thing like that that you need, this does. So I find it such a fantastic mod. It sort of covers nearly all the bases for what you need to begin with. I used to put one of the when I first started doing my season's precision farming thing, I used to do the manure spreading a lot. So again, that's another thing you can't get from this one. It doesn't do the manure, just for this. Whereas the I'm sure it does the one for this manure. I'm sure it does. It just doesn't do the liquids. That's all that doesn't do. It's one of my favourites. I know the fill rate on that thing is absolutely tremendous. It literally will fill this 4,000 in the blink of an eye, and I do like that. It's again, it's not. I wouldn't stop using this because of it, because it really is way more about how convenient this is. But yeah, one of my other setups I used to have the. I'll show you, it's easier. When I first started my seasons, I did muck spreading and that. I did them together. But those there, not the compost heap, the small. It's not those actually. They're one of the newest mods I put in. I'd forgotten I got those. It's these ones I'm talking about. The manure. I usually put one of those because the 3,000 for that and 3,500 for the container mod, 6,500, and you've got nearly all of what you need before animals. Obviously, I always go for the 15,000. When 15,000 later in the game doesn't become a problem to find, whereas it is at the beginning. It's usually so tight, and I start from scratch. It's so very tight to get your basic starting equipment you need to actually get things going. You just have to get the core equipment, and as I said, the solar panels I will limit to the maximum I'll allow. In recent times has been 4. I often go for 3, and a lot of people in Britain will. Oh, what's the name of that detective who lived in a windmill? Yeah, I often buy Alien Jim's windmill off No Man's Land and put a mat in front of the side door as if that's my house and I live in a windmill. Jonathan Creek, that's the one. Yeah, so that's often my house on quite a few Let's Plays actually. But I have found one I do like now. That's it isn't really a house, it's a shed with a workshop trigger. That is what I actually have been using last couple of weeks. I saw one on Mr. CDP's mod reviews, and let's put this on to current waypoint now. I think we're going to need to fill him up again, if I'm honest, because he didn't even do one round of the edge of the field, whereas he's nearly finished. She actually, I'm sure it was a lady. What should we call you? That's Joe. Joe's got the blue shirt, and I won't remember that. I know for a fact I won't. But, let's have a look. Oh, yeah, she's just got a script to do there, I think. Yeah. He did that island well. I will at some point. I will cut the tree down, and then we don't have to worry about it. But I suppose in some ways, we're aiming for semi-realism. It really doesn't. It's just another aspect of showing course play off. The fact that's the simple islands that you saw me do that time. There's also the more complex one, but to be honest, it's not something you truthfully need that often. I usually nearly Usually, nearly always. Not sure that's very good. Grab that. I nearly always use the simple bypass islands. As you can see, it's done a cracking job really. And it isn't supposed to be used then. You can tell by that's the normal platable grass, isn't it? Although I know you can. I have still cut it, so it's not really a problem. I shall leave this. Thank you very much, Joe, for your services, and I will definitely be calling on you again. You did not let us down. Thank you, and goodbye. Now then, how is he doing? Let's have a look on the map rather than do this the old-fashioned way. Let's use just that little bit in the middle. So we might actually get him to... let's have a look. I'm not sure. How much have we got left? Ooh, yes, I reckon. Isn't that strange? On that first round, he didn't get all the way round. And yet this time, with 7,000, he finished off. He'd only done half of the field. Got to about this point, going around the edge from point 1. So he missed probably a third of the field at least. And then this time, on 7,000, he's gone the rest of the way around the edge and one side pass. Where are you going? Let's not disturb a man at work. He's just angling himself to get this job done. Or what? Oh, it's going to 2. There's going to be a script back on that right hand side, isn't there? Yeah, I think we should do that, shouldn't we? Do you know, if there's a little blob missing, I'm not going to let it worry me. But I think we'd easily do that with 2,000. It just worries you a little bit when you see them get through 7,000 on half of the field, and then the last bit it actually manages on 5,000 by the time it's finished. I do love the way that precision farming, though, another absolutely fantastic part of precision farming, is the way it doesn't waste the spreader. You can have the spreader on and it won't spread until it needs to spread. Absolutely. I think it's so... Now I've got used to precision farming, I think it is such an absolute wonderful way of so not wasteful. I suppose that probably appeals to someone like myself, where your inner rules are on efficiency. So yeah, I suppose it makes perfect sense that to me is good. But to be honest, I don't think I'm being overly... I think all of us like to... If you could be told I can do 1 pass instead of 3 with seasons, I think most people would say, yeah, that's grand. So yeah, now then, let's see. I'm going to look backwards this time to make sure that this is not going to get stuck. I think it was the trees, because we all know workers have got this thing about trees. Now then, I am watching. What, you're not really? Have I got to? It's a horrible angle to try to steer. It's one thing I've got great admiration for. Oh wow, see how bad I did by where he's following. The greatest of admiration for content creators, the way that they can do their steering and strange angles and all the rest of it for some good panoramic shots is quite amazing. Anyway, let's go to in-cab. I've enough of this perspective. Let's have a look. How are we doing? Yeah. Go. Right, so then, I'm on times 1, aren't I? What we're doing well time-wise. Actually approaching, I should say, the... I'm trying, I've got a timer on this time, so it will let me know, but I've got a feeling in the inner recesses of my mind that we are getting close to the timer point on this. Let's go and fill these up, so at least they're ready for action next time. We need to do the spraying on field 18, and I'm not sure whether I did the spraying on... yeah, it's just checking the enemies. Ooh, we do need a bit of work, even though it is... That's very naughty of me. Animals should come first. I've gone and done field work before checking on my animals. which, as a farmer, is me sacking a worker, and I think I ought to be having a stiff telling off from the boss, which is me. So, Mr. Smith, pull your socks up, because those animals should have come first. Thank you, young man, for your raft, and I'm sure we'll have you back again. You did want work. Right, now then, I'm going to leave these on because I'm not sure whether we are going to get another cut this year or whether we're not, so I'm going to leave them poised for action anyway. Let's get that thing up. And then we're going to go and do our animals. Right. We may well, for once, use the little Fendt GT. I do think it would be, rather than me running around like a mad thing all the time, as we've seen, I'm debating whether or not to use a run around for a little bit more realism. I think it would be a bit more realism than me travelling at must be 35 miles an hour on my feet. It is a little bit, it's me saying going for semi-realism. I don't somehow think that as I'm passing cars at 35 miles an hour, because we all know they go very slow on certain maps, I don't really know that that passes for realism, so it is something I'm going to work on, and I think it may be that I shall live and die in a vehicle of some sort, especially, again, this is the trouble with, sort of use that and then I leave it. I need the back link spring, that's what it drops in me, so I'm going to need to drag the vehicles around. I think I've got everything in that field, haven't I? Including the Volvo, so yeah, I've only got the fence over this section, so yeah. To begin with, obviously, as I said, in a start from scratch let's play, you always have got so little money, but even 20 grand for one of the beasts or any of the other kinds of small vehicles that will do as a run around, truly you've not really got the money. It's always so tight. I mean, I know, as I said, I've always explained my reason on the solar panels. I do think you need some kind of a trickle just to help you with the fertiliser or the payments for your workers excuse me, and things like that. So yeah, I don't apologise for the solar panels. I just think you can go mad with them with like any kind of passive income. It does go field. Cows will escape. Look, they're not there. All escaped. I know they are really, but it was very bad of me. So the spray unit's there. Yeah, I am toying with the idea of, yeah, that's my timer reminding me that I really have done my timing. So I'm going to do the animals and then we're going to literally call it quits. But I am toying with the idea on one of these Let's Plays of actually starting with just Fendt GTs, probably going for 3 Fendt GTs. It means I've got to choose my equipment very well. I probably wouldn't go for the... To be honest, it has been a learning curve, although having that the gangly equipment, it's really good having it done all in one. I think the stress it causes, I always find this with those type of equipments that like do 2 or 3 jobs, but they are weird. They always seem to... I've got my indicator on, so... They always seem to cause more hassle than they solve, and you go back. I think I'd sooner have a traditional windrower and not keep clacking gate posts like I am with this, this setup, than I would, because it sort of causes more stress. I mean, it's bad enough with things like the... that was unusual. I didn't really think I'd do that. Obviously with a tanker, that is such a long mod. I know, don't get me wrong, I'll go for the smaller tankers, I could go for an 8000, and I wouldn't run into trouble with that, I really wouldn't, I know that. But it's just the convenience. Even 25,000 takes quite a few runs, silage, as you know. If you imagine on 8,000, it's a lot of Let's Plays and things like this are all to do with... Oh, I need the Volvo for its bucket, don't I, for the cleanliness. I'm going to have to go and fetch it. Oh well, it's worth a shot. Let's just go and... Yeah, at some point I must hide that bit of Helmet's ration that's at the back there that I dumped. If I can get to it, I think I can. Right, let's have a look at that now. Yeah, that's going to be filling up. So, is the water going? Yes, it is. Right, let's go and get that to clean this up, and then at least the animals are finished, and then literally I'm going to call it a day on this recording session. Just jump the gate. But yeah, I'm definitely toying with the idea of getting something like... I tell you, one of my favourites, which I often used to include as part of my, is the single cab. I used to go for the 6.7 litre jobby and use the backs on that. That can be a really good starting point. You could even go for the 28,000 second hand. I'd imagine that would be quite. Or you could go for the Gator second hand, but it's the Beast is probably what I would start with as a run around because of its speed. It's absolutely. Again, actually, at this point in the game, I would definitely go for the 82 Studio. I actually love that. The TLX 2020 is absolutely amazing, and as I said, it's so versatile. You can actually use it for ploughing. I would often go, and this was before I did the, tuning a bass bar never used to be a thing, obviously, so I would go for, let's have a look, engine setup, that beast. V8, 510 horsepower. You can grab plows and literally use that as as if it's a big tractor. And I have started that on quite a few Let's Plays. And then of course you've got all of the backs on that. Again, just size now because I often use the V in Hughes, but there's the little ones on this there, the 82 Studios, which you can put up to an 8,000, and they're so small as well. So again, and that's what I was trying to say, you can actually link. I have done this, but it does get a bit messy. You can link a couple of those, so I think you can you take them up to... No, that is it, it's 5,000. So you can do a 10,000, and that's quite small. But then of course you've got the multi-points, where the pivot points for 2. It does start to get messy, which is, truthfully wise, I said I'd sooner struggle with the 125,000 than go for a 10,000. I'm going to struggle if I ever have to reverse it. I always need to go round forwards to actually make it work. So yeah, I always find the mods where you do that, and don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people that do massive trains of certain ones. That's fine if you think you route up, but to date it's not something I'm wonderful at. And again, I suppose it's the realism side of things. In all of my years on this earth, I have never ever seen a farmer with more than one trailer. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm not saying it cannot. There may be a farmer who does a couple, or maybe with a dolly he does a massive trailer behind him, but never seen one to have a trailer, as you see in some of the screenshots, of 6 or something like that, of where you just chain them together. And again, I am aiming for semi-realism, so I'd sooner go for a single bigger item than mixing. And obviously this Let's Play is about using different equipment, so I've obviously used that windrower combination with the baler and the wrapper, and because it's such a collection of 3 items, it has, even in this Let's Play, caused me enough of problems clanging gate posts and the stress that involves, that I sort of think, I just don't think it's worth it. I really don't. I do like that baler wrapper combination though. I've got to be honest, I am impressed with that, even to the point where I'm questioning my first choice of my class roller, my faithful class roller, my go-to, all-in-one baler wrapper. Yes, I am seriously wondering whether I have found its, in my mind, the perfect replacement. Not that I would never use that again, but because it is definitely the one thing that has got over the Kuhn combination is the class Roland has such a wide, and I should try to get the word right this time, pickup. I seem to struggled to remember the word pickup quite a few times in this Let's Play, so I've seen in editing and thought, it's pickup. What are you stumbling over? It's amazing how when people are watching, how you're trying to... Well, I suppose, let's be honest, if I was playing myself, I'd be thinking thoughts, and I certainly wouldn't be trying to do something whilst thinking and talking, and it is obviously a real big. Oh, I did that from my height, I shouldn't have done that. It's not realistic. Yes, I am aiming to improve, and I think it's, as a skill it will definitely get better. Or at least I hope so. That's the plan anyway. Whether it works is another matter. Yes, I should say the map makers actually put those in there on purpose, just so as something like Courseplay can actually pick up the courses, I would imagine. With a map maker of the calibre of... is it Greenvale? This one? I should know. I'm sure it is. Someone's going to shout at me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it is. I would say it is an absolute amazing map, this one. With someone of the calibre of Greenvale, I am quite sure that it probably is something to do with Courseway or something that he's done that for, so that you can literally do the islands detection, because there's a... I know there's no... On the pylons themselves you can literally drive through them, whereas on some maps you can't. Right, I'm not going to do that where I normally do. I'm going to literally stick that in there, so I'm not making any more of a mess than I've already done. Still a little bit far. Oh, please let me have just a bit of pile of turbulence ration on that other side. Oh, just clean that, and I've just got made another blob look already. Oh well. That's tomorrow's car, not today's. You'll have to wait. Sorry, but I did clean you. Right, thank you very much for watching. Any comments, advice, guidance, tellings off, please by all means leave them in the comments at YouTube. They are very lonely at present. Not a single comment. I checked earlier. So I'm presently talking to myself. Nevertheless, I hope in time that somebody will berate me or say yes, I agree with you, I don't agree with you. It would be nice to not be on my lonesome with these discussions, but for the time being, in the future you that will watch this at some time, I hope, I say thank you very much for watching this Let's Play, or this particular episode, because that would be very presumptuous to think you'd watched the entire set, although to get to this point in the Let's Play I would imagine you would have watched quite a bit to get to this point. So, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again. Bye!